Hi there, welcome to Play Tennis Practice Yoga. My name is Margit Bannon and I teach both tennis and yoga, and today we're going to practice a little yoga for tennis, very appropriate for before and after you practice. So try this out. It's an express class, so hopefully it's very accessible where you feel like you have plenty of time to do this before or after practice, just to get your body moving in a number of ways. I'd love to hear what you think if you give it a try. All right, so I love to start off each practice with a little bit of centering. So you'll see me seated with crossed legs. I'm actually sitting on a block, that's optional. All you need for this practice, I would recommend a towel for kneeling, but that's really all you need. I have a little fun extra prop that you'll see how we'll use that a little later, but it's not really necessary. It's a little more for show. Okay, so we're gonna start off by sitting with crossed legs. Again, you could do this seated in a chair. And once you feel grounded through your hips, you can go ahead and relax your hands and just come to close your eyes. So just as we might before a tennis practice or a tennis match, take a little time to become a bit more centered. It's just nice to feel yourself in your body, to get out of your mind for a moment. So we can do that by feeling the heaviness of the hips and by perhaps noticing where else the legs meet the ground. And then from that base, go ahead and sit up a little bit taller through your spine. Maybe even relax the shoulders away from the ears a bit. And as you become a little more aware of your body, start to observe your breath. It's just such an excellent tool to make that mind-body connection as you might on court, perhaps focusing on the breath in between points. Or maybe you've become very aware of your breath as you hit balls. Maybe you have a tendency to hold your breath, or maybe you can literally hear your breath if you have one of those tennis grunts out there. Just a couple more moments to feel body, to feel breath. Maybe take time to set an intention for your yoga practice, or if you're going out on court, maybe you'd like to make an intention for your next practice. A couple more breaths just to set the tone for your posture practice here. And then we'll go ahead and gently open the eyes. All right. So we're going to go ahead and come to hands and knees. This is where I recommend that you take a little padding beneath the knees, especially if you're on a harder surface as I am on court today. So I'm going to come onto my hands and my knees. So I've got a tennis towel from the Miami Open today. This one's from 2018. We're missing our Miami Open this year in 2020, of course. But I'm going to place that about halfway down my mat. And then I'm going to find myself right here with my hands directly beneath my shoulders and my hips over my knees. I'll ground down through my palms, through the tops of my feet and my shins. You'll notice I am wearing shoes. They're a barefoot shoe, but you might want to do this barefoot, as a lot of shoes won't work for what we're doing. And so from this neutral position, let's inhale, and now as we exhale, let's curl the tailbone under and round, shin tucks in towards the chest. And as we inhale now, let's go ahead and lift the sit bones, gently arching through the spine, gaze forward. So basically as we exhale, we're curling the tailbone under, belly in towards spine, stretch is felt through back body. And as we inhale, we'll reach the tail back. You'll feel a little bit of an arch, where you're opening a little more through front body. So let's maybe try that one or more, two more times on your own. You're just trying to link the pace of the movement to your own breath rather than my call. And then as you next exhale, you'll pause, and then we'll sink it to what we call extended child's pose. So I sink the hips back towards the heels, my arms reach forward. Now, if you're limited, this doesn't feel great in your knees, or maybe you want a little more neutral position for your spine, you might do this very same pose with your toes curled under. So I'm sinking the hips back as far as I can, My hands are so far forward that my elbows are not touching the mat. So I'm getting a nice stretch through the back body, but I'm also becoming a little more aware of my arms because of where I'm going next. I'm going to keep my palms grounded as I come forward. If my toes were curled under, now's a good time to curl them under. And now I'd like you to be aware of your bent knees. Lift your bent knees off the mat. Keep them deeply bent as you now press your belly and your chest towards the tops of the thighs. So you're going to want to straighten your legs here. I invite you to deeply bend your knees. We're looking for nice length in the spine first and foremost. Hips are reaching in opposition to the hands that press the mat forward. And now from here, we might begin to bicycle out the legs a little bit more, feeling the backs of those tennis heels, the calves, the backs of the thighs that are often tight because of the sport that we play and having to bend the knees. And so after you've taken some movement, find some stillness. If you're a little more open, you might now work towards straightening the legs a little bit more, not if that shifts your body forward. So if that happens, you might come back to bending your knees again, reestablishing the length within your spine. See if you can breathe as easily as you did initially as we were centering. And now go ahead and bring the knees down towards the towel. Sink the hips back towards the heels. This time you might make a pillow with your hands beneath your forehead, resting the upper body. Resting as you might after a long point in your tennis play. And I'll come on up a bit just so that you can shift your hips over to one side and bring your legs forward. So I'm going to remove my tennis towel. I'm actually going to use my tennis towel. It's really warm out here today. I think it was 92. It feels like it's 98 and we haven't even hit June yet. So I'm going to use my tennis towel. And then we're going to do a little bit of play with boat pose and a variation on boat pose. So version number 1, in case version number 2 is a little intense, you know that this first version might work nicely for you. So I'm balanced on my sit bones. I'm trying to be nice and tall through my torso as I take a hold of the backs of my knees. So I'm going to be nice and tall, and now I'm going to play around with lifting 1, maybe 2 feet off of that mat as I feel myself toggling forward and back on the sit bones. So nice work here for the belly. You're trying to be on the sit bones. It might be the backs of the sit bones, but you're not rounding and being on the tailbone so much. And now I'm going to reach my arms forward, which would challenge a little further. If this is tough, know that your hands can support you back here as well as an option. And then we'll place the feet down. We'll take a couple of resting breaths. So you might choose to repeat that version because we're going to add a little bit of movement, a little bit of a twist, like our tennis twist that we often do in our ground strokes. This is why we have this fun prop. Again, you don't have to have this. This is more for fun. You could also do this maybe holding a can of balls between your hands. Okay, so if you were balanced in that original boat pose, we're going to come back to that boat pose holding maybe something between your hands. Maybe a water bottle would work as well. And then as you next inhale, we're going to bring the prop over to the left a bit. As you exhale, come back to center. Inhale, let's reach the hands over to the right. Exhale, center. And let's repeat that 2 more times. So notice how this gets tougher. Preparing for all of those twisting movements. We have to be really strong through the torso with regards to rotation. Whew, I'm feeling that. So let's come down. All right, and now we're gonna recline and I'll show you how you can release out of this a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna scoot forward enough so that I have at least half of my mat behind me. Okay, I'm gonna slowly lower down. And I'm gonna allow my heels to come in 4 or 5 inches away from the hips. Make sure you don't have too much support beneath your head for where we're going. It's just a little bit better for the neck. So we're gonna do a little bridging with the arms down at the sides, pressing into the feet, pressing into the upper arms. Let's inhale, lift the hips up and away from the mat. And as we exhale, lower the hips down. Let's try that 2 more times. Inhaling as we come up, maybe higher, maybe not. Exhale, lowering down. We'll do that 1 more time to hold. Really nice opening for the hips for all of our bent knee movements, but also great strengthening for the back body, as you're probably starting to feel. And now slowly lower down. Let's come to hug the knees in towards the chest. And as you do, let's hug right knee in towards the chest as we extend the left leg all the way down. I'm just going to reach out through that left heel a bit. And I'm going to open my right arm out to my side. You have options here. You could come into cactus pose with that arm. You could even bring the hand to the belly. I'm going to take this version today just because the cord is quite warm. I'm going to inhale, and as I exhale, I'm going to roll all the way to the outer portion of that left foot, baby toe side of the foot. I'm going to adjust a little bit through the upper body. My head faces the sky as I breathe into this twist. So you took some rotations a little bit ago, and now a little more of this twist designed for you to let go in this position. We call this the crocodile twist. And then slowly roll back. Keep hugging your right leg in. Let's draw the left leg in to meet the right, and then we'll trade out the legs. Hands come to left leg, extend your right leg all the way down. Again, you could open out at a T beside you. You've got options. Inhale, and now exhale, we're going to roll to the right. So essentially, I'm stacking the hips here. Again, I might adjust through the upper body a bit. This time the focus is on letting go within the exhalations. And then let's slowly come back. You're still hugging that left leg in. Hug right leg in to meet the left. Maybe 3 full breaths here. And then let's release the feet down to the mat. Let's take a brief relaxation. This might be where you pad the head a little bit or use that towel to towel off. And come here, knees bent, feet on the ground. Feet can be hips width apart, or maybe the feet are wide with the knees falling towards one another. So you get to choose also with the positioning of your arms. And just close your eyes for a moment, feeling heavy on the mat. Noticing your breath in stillness one more time. Just being really present with how the body feels in this moment. Using the breath as a tool to be in this moment, apart from everything that's already happened, apart from everything that might happen after this practice. And maybe coming back to that original intention for your yoga or your tennis practice. And now take some deeper breaths, invite a little bit of movement into the body. Roll over to your side, little by little press yourself back up, and then again, come to sit for one last moment. So I like to sit up a little higher just because that's a little easier for my body. You might choose to do that as well. And as we come to sit and feel grounded one more time, let's bring the palms together in front of the heart. Maybe even close your eyes and maybe be grateful for this opportunity to do something for the game that you love, to do something for yourself. Maybe even think about how much you love the sport of tennis, or what it is that you love about the sport of tennis. Namaste. Thank you for joining me in this short Yoga for Tennis Express class. Hope that it felt nice in your body. If you give it a try, I'd love to know any feedback, especially if you're struggling in any of the postures. There's usually a way that we can modify these poses to suit your needs. So again, happy practicing. Please subscribe to our channel if you like this practice. Look out for future practices. I'll be adding some more on here shortly, and I hope to see you soon.